So I recently came across a post on Reddit, and basically it's a singer asking for feedback on his routine. And so for today, I want to use this as an example because I think it highlights a fundamental gap in the way a lot of people who are trying to improve their voice, who are trying to sing better, a fundamental gap in the way we approach or think about practicing singing. I also want to kind of share some suggestions on this routine as if I was tweaking the routine of one of my students. So let's dive in. So for some context, here was the post. Hey, any thoughts on my daily routine towards final vocal tracking for an emo/rock EP? Is it too much or too little to improve my voice from strain? And then as you can see, there is a morning routine and then there's also an evening routine. Now, first things first, you have to hand it to this singer. They're easily clocking in about 2 hours of practice every single day. So massive respect to the discipline and to the commitment. Now, the other thing is results is king. So if they're, improving, their voice is feeling easier to use every single day, this is a massive win. And really, you can ignore everything I'm about to say. But I do suspect the reason he's asking is he might not be seeing the results, or maybe he's not seeing the results to the level that he wants. Now, as I mentioned before, I chose this post because I think it reflects the underlying thinking or the assumption for a lot of you when you're going in to practice, which is this: if I do vocal exercises consistently, if I do them enough, then I will improve. And I know this because I can see little clues and hints from this post. The first thing here is he's basically shared his routine from a what lens. Basically, what exercises am I doing? This is the exercise. This is what I do in the morning. This is what I do at night. But there's no mention of what is he focusing on when he's doing these exercises. What exactly is the approach? Now, the second one is in the main question, which is this too little or too much to improve my voice from strain? But here is where the problem lies. For many of you who are trying to improve your voice, what ultimately drives improvements, maybe you're straining, maybe you can't hit the pitch, whatever that vocal challenge is, what ultimately drives and improves your voice isn't necessarily what exercise you're doing, and it isn't even necessarily how much vocal exercises you're doing. Whilst they are important, what really drives progress is, are you doing the exercises correctly? Are you doing it with correct form? And also, do you know what the exercises are teaching you? And so when we approach our practice on the daily and we're thinking, hey, I got to do these exercises, I got to do this YouTube warm up, I got to do these lip trills, and let's just practice for an hour a day. I think this could reveal a gap in the way you're fundamentally approaching your practice, which is really, unless you can do these exercises with good form, or at least know what good form is, it's going to be very hard to see progress. If anything, you might just be drilling in a lot of wrong habits, because all practice does is it makes habit. It's kind of like committing to doing push-ups every single day, but you're doing it with terrible form and then wondering, why didn't I get stronger? It wasn't because you're doing the wrong exercises. It wasn't because you're doing too little or too much. Rather, it's because you weren't doing them with good form. That was missing. Now, before I dive in and share some more specific examples or suggestions on how you can improve your routine, real quick, my name is Ivan. I'm a voice teacher who works with students from all around the world. And really on this channel, this podcast, my goal is to make learning how to sing as simple and as easy as possible. And so if that is up your lane, consider subscribing wherever you're joining me from. If you're interested in working with me privately, I do offer private voice lessons over Zoom and some self-study programs that you can work through in a step 1, step 2, step 3 manner. If you're interested in that, links are down in the description. If you want to inspire our next episode, let me know what I should talk about down in the comments. Okay, so maybe you've realized now that, hey, I've just got this routine. I have all these bunch of exercises and I'm just kind of doing them. I don't really know if I'm doing them correctly. I don't even know what's kind of going on with this, right? How do we improve this? How do we get you out of this situation? The first suggestion I have here is start with the fundamentals, because I think the reason a lot of us kind of dance between all these different exercises, all these different crazy kind of extensive routines, is because we don't know what to truly focus on. Now, of course, a teacher is going to help you with this and, give you that kind of step by step. But I think a really good kind of starting place is really understanding the fundamentals of a voice. What exactly makes a voice easier to use? Because once you understand this, right, really you'll notice that a lot of the different vocal exercises are just different variations to train and work on these fundamentals. And so what are these fundamentals? The first one here is, how do I just go up and down my range? How do I adjust for pitch easily and efficiently? How do I just make sure that I'm using the muscles that will help me change pitch? The second one is, how do I adjust for dynamics going from soft to loud? and then being able to do these two fundamentals in tandem, being able to go up and down your range without having to change your volume. I mean, if you just knew how to do these two things correctly and do them well, do them consistently, this will tackle a lot of the problems that you might be experiencing. The problems of strain, lack of high range, or maybe I always have to flip the falsetto as I go up higher. Just understanding these fundamentals will tackle those higher level problems. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on these fundamentals, but if you'd like to check out more on these concepts, I would recommend checking out episode 129 and 131 after these episodes. Now, the second suggestion I have here is getting rid of junk exercises or junk volume. Now, there's nothing wrong with a lengthy routine, especially if you are seeing results from it. But in most cases, I find that it tends to be quite overwhelming and it often distracts us from working on the true or the real kind of fundamental issues in our voice. One little experience that I've had is as I'm getting better, as I understand technique a bit more, my warm-ups are getting a lot simpler, a lot easier, and just less complicated. And I think part of it is I don't have to weave through all these countless exercises that I used to do in order to get a feeling of like, yeah, my voice feels kind of ready. I know how to get there a lot quicker because I know what I need to focus on when it comes to my technique. So if you have a elaborate routine, if you have something that honestly, secretly feels like you're doing a bit too much, I challenge you to just keep it simple. Actually get rid of some of those exercises and just see if your progress is still the same, if not more. Now, the third suggestion here is I'd encourage you to structure your practice in two parts. The first part is every day you come in and practice, establish your home base. Basically, what are some exercises that make your voice feel easy, feel comfortable, feel reliable to use? This is going to be a great starting place. And really, it could just take 2 to 3 minutes to kind of get done. And I also use these as part of my warm-ups now as well. And then second is once you found that home base, you go immediately into a challenge for your voice. Something that kind of pushes your voice slightly outside of its comfort zone. Maybe it's learning how to coordinate your voice better. And simply repeating this process daily is how you can stack those 1% improvements. Now, I have talked about this in more detail, how to set up your routine to see daily progress in the previous episodes. So if you're interested in that, check out the previous episode after this one. Anyway, I hope this episode was useful. If it was, please do all the usual social media stuff, liking, commenting, and just sharing this podcast. This would really help us grow and it would really mean the world to me. If you're on the podcast, leaving a 5-star review is amazing. Last but not least, if you've decided, hey, I want to improve my voice faster and you feel like Ivan is a good person for you, once again, links in the description on how you can work with me privately or work through some of my step 1, step 2, step 3 self-study programs. Apart from that, my name is Ivan. I'm your voice teacher and I'll see you every single Thursday or Friday depending on where you're joining me from. Take care.